For our next discussion, I'd like to call on the panelists who will be talking about how we use different types of ways to transform security at airports. I'd like to call Dr. Majid Al Sarrah. He's a very well-known expert in the aviation industry who will be moderating the panel. Welcome, Dr. Majid. I'd like to call upon Faisel AllTaleb. He is an AVSEC professional manager as well as cargo security manager. He's joining us all the way from Saudi Arabia. Thank you, Faisel. I'd like to call upon Oktay Cetintas. He spoke earlier this morning about security and passenger experience at Euro Airport. I'd like to call upon Shaad Shaikh. He's the head of flight operations support at Beyond Holding Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, please do, distinguished guests, please put your hands together and do stay. We're going to get a lot of insights from this diverse group who will be talking about how we transform airports today.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming here today. As we know, the aviation sector itself, it's developing and using a lot of technology to advance and prosper. At the same time, security is one of the main challenges nowadays at all the airports and basically international airports, and it poses a high threat against airports and traveling. Therefore, airports, our colleagues here, do their best to enhance security and to guarantee at the same time the best experience for passengers who are the main customers using and utilizing airports. So with me here, a very experienced and advanced committee of my colleagues from Saudi Arabia, Mr. Oktay, who did a very great presentation about German, airport in French territories, and Mr. Shaad, who comes from Beyond Company, which consists of consultancy and focusing on airline industry. So I would leave the floor to my colleagues here to present themselves and to give us a little brief of what they did and what they have achieved. I will start with you, Mr. Oktay, and then we'll go to Mr. Shaad, and then my prosper friend, Mr. Faisal. So please.
Thank you very much. Very pleased and honored to be here and participate to this special panel discussion about airport security. My name is Oktay Cetintas, representing the Euro Airport, Basel-Mulhouse in Switzerland, and I'm working over there since 15 years in the aviation sector, over 30 years now, and specialized in airport operations, including security management and passenger operations and terminal operations.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Shaad. I have 20 years of experience into an airline. Basically, my background is I have been managing the flight operations and ground operations and airport management with multiple international carriers, Qatar Airways, KLM, Etihad, Air Arabia, and now I'm working on a unique project on the Fly Beyond, which is like a premium carrier based in Mali, and it will be full premium class passenger configuration. So happy to be here, and hope we have a nice time and enjoy the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Faisal.
All right, thank you, everyone. Pleasure to meet you. It's been an honor to be participating in this panel. Thank you, Dr. Majid. My name is Faisal AllTaleb, coming back from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Currently covering cargo industry, ensuring enhancing the security processes and measures at the Kingdom. I'm as well certified as an AVSEC professional manager from ICAO. Previously worked and studied and managed King Khalid International Airport to ensure enhancing the security processes and measures there with delivering high-profile security infrastructure projects, such as enhancing the aircraft isolation area. Additional to that, the establishment of the new terminals and focusing on ensuring the terminal is safely and secure for operations.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That would lead us to our first question here, and I would like to start with you, Mr. Oktay. Since you come from the airport operation, management, so how actually did you overcome the challenges in collaborating with different, stakeholders, service providers mainly, in the airport? Because we do have ground handling agents, we will do have, airlines, which are mainly transporting passengers from one place to another. So how did you manage to handle all these collaborations? First of all, from the airport operation perspective, and then maybe from the management of security checks, because it's really important to secure the airport. And most importantly is, how did you manage the passenger flow? Because the passengers would keep increasing by the time. So how did you actually manage all these challenges?
Thank you. As we all know, the airport operations is a very complex system. All starts with good cooperation and understanding of the subject. The better you cooperate and educate and train people, the better operations you can manage. To do so, we have created an airport operations control center, which is nowadays very common. Good and big airports, they have one. We also created a few years ago this and concentrated all various departments and enabling to communicate with them in real time. That's the focus. Not only this, but we meet very, very regularly our service providers and explain them our culture, our principles and operation concepts to make them accept and enable. The better they understand, the better they can cooperate with this code of conduct. And we have developed with the service providers, with the forecasting data they have. Some data we have, some data the airlines have, some others data are available from the service providers. Imagine if you can combine all this knowledge and data to one database, you can better forecast the passenger flow and you can better prepare yourself in a better cost-effective manner and at the right time having the right people. So that's the key: cooperation, communication and sharing of information.
Perfect. So actually, it's really very interesting, and that would lead us to the next question. How did you reflect all these aspects and the findings that you have, concluded and reflected it into the passenger experience? Because I believe passenger experience is one of the main objectives of any airport. So how did you actually reflect it on the passenger's experience?
Again, there is very important communication. We have these so-called surveys, passenger satisfaction surveys. The famous one is the ASQ, but we have additional our own, what we do, so we can monitor the level of satisfaction and the potential problem areas and interact immediately once we have the definition of this problem. And nowadays social media helps a lot to communicate the things we do, the added value passengers having traveling through our airport. So awareness, the better you talk to the staff doing the direct customer service, the better customer service you get then. Yeah. So the management tool we try to apply is really to go deep to the real people who have the direct contact. We train them, we explain them, and we make them share our vision.
Impressive. Yeah. Thank you so much. I think that covered it. And if I would like to conclude, to our colleagues, let's say here from different airports, what is the best practice, or I can say, what kind of innovation which would be a best practice that anybody can benefit from that was applied, or let's say included in your plan?
One of the examples, innovation we did was especially this dog control system we had. It's not visible by the passenger, yeah. I agree, but they feel it. They feel less disruptions and less obstacles. It's not innovation in technology, it's innovation in process, yeah. and methodology. And this is one of the services. The other, what we will soon do is to add computer tomography, add passenger control, the same system what we apply in the baggage screening. So the passengers will, in near future, not be obliged to take out the liquids in the bags, handbags, so they just can go through, because the machines we're going to use, they are the same ones, the same technology which is used in the baggage system. And on top of this, we will apply, we started already to apply multiplexage. That means remote image controlling. So this is not only convenient for passengers and improves the flow, passenger flow, but it also gives better security, because you do not know which line, which agent controls which image. That's completely uncontrolled and random. And this is, in fact, an additional security level.
It will enhance the security.
Absolutely. And with these small process adaptations, we try to increase the experience of passengers, having not any obstacles or any blockage during the journey.
Amazing, amazing. So it's a smooth flow, and actually it will make you as a passenger just go your way and until you reach the plane and travel safely with your journey. Thank you so much, Mr. Oktay, and I hope everybody from the other airports would benefit from this best practices. This is how it works, and this is how we enhance our experiences in different airports. Allow me now to go to our next esteemed guest, Mr. Shaad Shaikh, who comes from Beyond Limited Company. Since you come from the airline experience, and we all know, you know, as a passenger, if I'm using the airline, there is a must for me to use an airport. And when I go to the airport, I have to prepare myself, you know, to go and check in, and then move to the passport control, and then security checks on my way to the aircraft. So I would like to ask you, from the airline perspective, what are the main challenges nowadays facing these airlines?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, people, they keep talking about, you know, the disadvantage of COVID. I think the blessing in disguise post-COVID is adaptation to the technology, which was not there before pre-COVID. So what has happened is now the airports, airlines, on all the industry partners are adapting to the technology, and there is a technological revolution which is happening at the moment as we speak. So with the AI coming in, you have the machine learning and all the data digitalization. So from an airline, our main objective is to have a frictionless and seamless travel. So that is what we always have in our DNA. So, and definitely we need to collaborate with the partners like the airport security and even other multiple stakeholders, the handling companies and all, to achieve that mission. So it's not, it's a full ecosystem which needs to work in tandem to achieve the target what we are trying to achieve, which is basically to give passengers the seamless experience. And as you mentioned, that when you're going as a passenger, one part of my story of an airline will come at the end, but you have to go through, you know, at the check-in, then security, and then you have to go to the multiple phases. So we need to have a seamless, frictionless travel. So that is where we are trying to achieve how we can improvise. So we have a lot of, one way to improve is, and we have a collaboration with the airport authority and stakeholders. We have a working group. So this is what we propose to all the airlines as well, to work in close tandem with the airports to see what are the bottlenecks. And if you see now with the data mining and all these things coming up, and with the AI doing a lot of automation, we have seen what are the peaks and what are the lows. So during the peak time, what are the bottlenecks, which sector, which time band it is increasing the bottleneck, which results into delay, passenger getting a little bit upset because of all the congestion they feel. So this is all in tandem happening behind the scene, trying to improvise the passenger experience.
Amazing, very interesting. And I would like to speak here from the perspective of the passenger, because I need to gain this awareness. How would technology that you have just mentioned would benefit me as a passenger? How would it be reflecting my satisfaction, my views, for example? How would it be making my journey smooth, if you may?
Yeah, so, I mean, so as I told you, so first part of every airline which we know now, we are doing it, like you have your web check-in, now you can do your load your data as well, passport detail and everything, so you can have your less check-in time at the airport. So this is number one. Now
Less
we are
time.
trying to reduce your time at as much as possible.
Yeah.
So that is number one. Then you have your e-gate check-ins and all, which is coming up. So now we are working with the partners, as I told you, with the security team as well, where we can have thermal scanning, maybe the baggage, RFID technology is there. So in case, so we are talking about the best case scenario, nothing happens to your bag. But in case it gets disrupted, we need to know where the baggage is. Currently, the process which the airline is having is basically you go into the system, you send a message where the bag was left. For example, flight is going from Dubai to London.
Yeah.
And if the baggage is left in Dubai, the passenger arrives in London, he will send a message to the check-in counter that, okay, I lost my baggage. They will send a message to Dubai, then they will trace it. So it's more of a pull. Now what we are doing is a proactive. So basically, as soon as the flight is loaded and it's closed, we know the passenger bag, we have missed this baggage. When the passenger arrives, you have 7-8 hours and the airline is working behind the scene how to make the baggage arranged. So this is all happening through the RFID technology. Through that technology we can improvise the passenger experience and also improve operational efficiency.
Yeah. Very good. That sums it all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I believe it's really very important to maintain this balance between, technology, passenger experience, and security at the same time.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your perfect answers. I would like to move to our esteemed colleague from Saudi Arabia, King Khalid International Airport, Mr. Faisel AllTaleb. And I would like to ask you, during your experience in the establishment of King Khalid International Airport, we know once you establish something, you would have different stakeholders, different service providers, and I would say maybe regulators. So how did you overcome the challenges that you experienced in the establishment of King Khalid Airport, especially that you really have to maintain a very high standard security levels at the airport? So please elaborate on this point in terms of challenges, and how did you manage to gain effective communication?
Sure. Thank you. So as you mentioned, we have several entities, several governmental agencies. So due to the different stakeholders and internal departments, such as the governmental bodies, we have the internal departments such as commercial services, we have the operations, we have maintenance and engineering. So covering all those departments, the objectives and outcomes will definitely be different. They will have different perspective, different, let's say, required result, information, or let's say required objectives to be resolved. So having them aligned together and working along each other, we created or we worked on having one-to-one workshops, one-to-one meetings, walkthroughs, to ensure that they are all aligned into one direction, which is to operate and be able to operate the terminals safely and securely. Additional to that, ensuring passing accurate information, including intelligence prior opening or the establishment of the terminals. Additional to that, we are ensuring they are aligned as well with the regulatory standards, which is the national standards. Not only the national standards, also to exceed above that and ensure to reach international best practices, as well as ensuring all stakeholders and different bodies are happy to engage with each other, as well as sharing information.
It's very interesting. So I believe I would wrap up saying effective communication really plays a huge role in achieving your goals. So can you just give us an example about the you mentioned information sharing, which I believe is really very important when it comes to security and safety of the passengers and the facilities at the airport. So can you elaborate a little bit more about information sharing?
Yeah, definitely. As we all know, we could go back to 2010. If you remember the cargo plot, so it was deterred and detected by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's intelligence. So passing the information through the corresponding bodies or governmental bodies supported this into deterring the IED in that, or that explosive in that printer. So if that information was not shared, we might be facing a similar situation or case as Lockerbie incident.
Definitely, definitely. So I believe, again, it's the proper level of communication with different, I would say, authorities, whether if it's national or international, would help a lot and mitigate any security risk and any security threat. Thank you so much. That wraps it up. And I just would like to thank our esteemed speakers here. And I would like to emphasize on the security matter that at the airport, it's really very important to advance, to enhance our technologies, to give the passenger the best experience. But at the same time, we need to make sure all these passengers are safe, they're secured, and all airports should meet the international and national standards in terms of security standards and recommendation. So thank you so much to our esteemed speakers, and please feel free to reach out. I took their permission, to our speakers after the session if you have any questions, any best practice that you would love to know from our speakers. That would be after the session. And I would love to thank you all for the, for your attendance and for your great listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.